All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So I've got a couple interesting stories for you guys today, so let's get right into it. So the first story I have for you guys is there was a new world record, an all-time world record, set in the squat on December 23rd, 2018. So this new squat record was set by Vlad Alkazov, and it was a 1,157-pound squat, or 525 kilograms, done with knee wraps only. And again, this is the new raw with wraps all-time world record set in Minsk, Belarus. So certainly a very major moment in powerlifting history and a very impressive all-time world record. So I'm going to give you guys a couple different videos here of this record-setting squat. All right, so the next story that I have for you guys is kind of a follow-up to yesterday's news update video. Obviously, UFC 232 was shrouded in a lot of controversy with Jon Jones testing positive again for some kind of metabolite of a banned substance known as turinabol. So the Jon Jones fight was probably the biggest topic going into UFC 232, but it turned out the most exciting fight, or probably the most prominent result from UFC 232, was the co-main event of Chris Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. In a very interesting turn of events, Amanda Nunes knocked out Chris Cyborg 51 seconds into the first round, which seemed to be a very surprising result for a lot of people. Myself included. I was kind of expecting Chris Cyborg to win this one. But congratulations to Amanda Nunes, a very impressive finish and arguably one of the greatest female fighters of all time. And of course, in the main event of Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson, you had Jon Jones end up winning in the third round, just 2 minutes in, with a TKO. Now, one of the controversies surrounding this drug test issue was the fact that this fight had to be moved from Las Vegas to California on just 6 days' notice. And one of the interesting things that Dana White said in the post-fight press conference was he actually said this event was a sellout, which actually was pretty amazing to me, that in just 6 days' notice, they could move this venue essentially across the country and still be able to sell out that event. I thought that was a pretty impressive accomplishment. And something that I was wondering about when I heard they moved the event, if they were going to be able to, how many tickets they were going to be able to sell and how well this was going to do, again, on just such short notice. And it also appears to be that, Jones's next fight is going to be against Daniel Cormier, so that should be interesting to see as well. So the next story that I have for you guys is kind of an unfortunate one here. So this story, the headline reads, "Fitness YouTuber dies after being tased by police as he attacked his Tinder date." Just another reason to never use Tinder. I've never had a Tinder account and never will. Just you never know who you're going to meet. But this story popped up yesterday, actually, December 29th.
A father in shock, desperate for answers after learning 25-year-old Eric Stelzer died while in police custody. Sources say Thursday night neighbors heard screaming and called police. Officers forced their way in, finding Stelzer stabbing a 24-year-old woman in his bedroom, shouting he was God and she was the devil. The pair had met on Tinder just last Thursday.
So this story is about a guy named Eric Stelzer. He is a guy that apparently is a YouTube fitness personality, is how they kind of titled this article. And if you go over and do a little bit of research on YouTube, you can find his channel that only has about 245 subscribers. But the videos actually have a decent amount of views. His triceps and back training video here has 23,000 views posted a year ago. So I think they kind of exaggerated in the title and in this story in general to kind of get more clicks and get more hits on this story by calling him this YouTuber fitness expert bodybuilder, however they worded it, was really kind of making him sound like he was kind of a social media star, and he really wasn't. when I saw this story pop up, I was thinking it could possibly be, a big name or somebody major, somebody with a large following, the way that they worded it, but 245 followers, really not that big of a deal. So essentially, this guy was taken into custody by police, according to this article, because he was stabbing this Tinder date that he apparently had only known for about a week. And apparently he was in some kind of manic episode yelling that she was the devil and he was stabbing her. And she was somehow able to escape when the police arrived. And then when he was taken into custody, they claimed that he lunged at officers. Then he was tased and somehow died as a result of that tasing. Now, they did mention in the video from the news channel that he had some kind of history of mental illness. So it sounds like just a very unfortunate situation for everybody involved, especially unfortunate for the victim here. I think, really a lot of attention is being placed on the guy who did the stabbing because he was the fitness celebrity, as they like to call him. But, very unfortunate for this girl that he met on Tinder. Probably had no idea what she was getting herself into just a week later after meeting this guy, end up being a stabbing victim. So I think she's the real victim in all this. But unfortunately, this guy ended up dying as a result of this situation, which is sad. But it sounds like he kind of brought that on himself because, again, they say in the report that he lunged at officers after he was taken into custody with a knife. And I think if that were actually the case and he lunged at officers with a knife, I think he's lucky they didn't shoot him. I mean, the fact that they only tased him if he lunged at him with a knife, I think is pretty incredible. If I were the police officer, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. But the fact that they didn't shoot the guy for lunging at them with a knife, I think is actually kind of commendable. I mean, if he really did have the knife when he lunged at him, which the father in this video says he doesn't think he did, but if he really did, I mean, this is a guy who just got done stabbing a girl, so they know he would use the knife, and then lunges at police officers with a knife. Kind of amazing they didn't actually shoot the guy. And one thing I noticed when I actually went in and watched some of this guy's YouTube videos is he actually has an eerily similar intro to his videos that I have. My What's Going On, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power.
What's up, guys? Eric Stelzer here. So today we're doing...
Now, the next story I have for you guys is a pretty interesting one, and this was a story about a YouTube channel that used to be a channel called Massthetics. Now, Massthetics was a powerlifting channel that I actually used to follow when I was more into powerlifting than I am now, and I actually learned of this story through Infinite Edge Intensity's video that he posted yesterday about the breakup of Massthetics. I believe they had like 50,000 or so subscribers the last time I watched their channel. And I noticed months ago that the channel was gone. I searched for it and nothing came up, and the channel was just gone. I didn't really look much more into it after that. So this channel was run by two guys, Simon Otero and Garrett Gonzalez, and these guys were pretty well known in the powerlifting community. They were even featured on Mark Bell's channel at some point on their podcast, I believe. So it was a pretty well-known channel, 50,000 followers, pretty good-sized channel as well, and it just kind of disappeared. So a couple days ago, one of these guys, Garrett Gonzalez, posted a series of videos, 45 minutes each, kind of describing the breakup of Massthetics and the kind of falling out that he had with the other guy, Simon Otero. So it kind of seems that it went the route of Physiques of Greatness. Physiques of Greatness, obviously one of the biggest YouTube fitness channels of all time, featuring, of course, my boy Chris Jones and Vince G. And they had that famous split, a couple of years ago, however many years it's been. And this kind of seems to be a similar situation here. So let me save you guys some time here and kind of describe to you the situation, because it was a long, very long-winded explanation posted in these two 45-minute videos. Essentially, these two guys opened a gym together. It's called Legion Iron. And right around the time that they opened this gym is when they had this falling out. So essentially, Garrett claims the other guy, Simon, was lazy, didn't do any work, he was shady, he was cheating on his girlfriend, he was stealing money. He tried to get him kicked out of med school. Just a whole bunch of issues between these two guys that used to be friends, which this generally seems to be something that happens when, two friends collaborate on a business or collaborate on a YouTube channel. Typically, it seems that it doesn't end very well. So surrounding this gym opening that both of these guys were involved with, it ended up in them, I guess, suing each other. They're involved in a lawsuit right now. And it just appears to be a very messy situation overall. And based on the videos that Garrett posted, it seems that Garrett is back in control or in ownership of Legion Iron. So it kind of seems like he might be, coming out on top of this. And I was reading the comments on his video, and a lot of people were calling Simon the new Vince G. So it'll be interesting to see how this all turns out and how the lawsuit really ends up. But I guess the lesson we can all learn from this is be really careful who you trust, and be very, very careful who you go into business with, and maybe think twice about going into business with a friend, no matter how good of friends you are, how much you trust them. It really seems like that tends to be a bad idea. But I will say, if you're planning on watching the full explanation from Garrett on his channel, it's very, I believe, over dramatic. It just seemed kind of, self-indulgent, over dramatic. And I'll leave you with this clip from the very end of that video, which just seemed, basically summed up the overall tone of the video.
But I'm an asshole because I drive a supercar and have sex with lots of women. But guess what? I don't lie to them about it.
So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.
I have sex with lots of women.